I said sales are off the charts for Blackwell, and NVIDIA GPUs in the cloud are sold out. We got plenty of Blackwells to sell you. We have lots of Blackwells coming. We're making a lot of Blackwells, and we have a bunch of Vera Rubins coming. And so business is very, very strong, but we've planned our supply chain incredibly well. We have the largest supply chain in the world. Our partners, TSMC, our memory partners, SK Hynix, Micron, Samsung, are doing a fantastic job supporting us. And all of our systems partners, Foxconn and Quanta and Wistron, our packaging partners, everybody's doing a fantastic job supporting us. And we've done a good job planning for a very, very strong year. And we've done a good job planning for Vera Rubin.
Questions we get for you of how that ramp will go relative to what we saw with the Blackwell generations.
Well, the silicon for Vera Rubin, 7 different chips are back in our labs. And the bring up is happening across engineering teams. Probably a couple of 20,000 people are working on bringing up Vera Rubin, from silicon to systems to software to algorithms. People are working around the clock, and this bring up is going beautifully. We're on track to deliver Vera Rubin about Q3 timeframe of next year, continuing our once a year cycle. Vera Rubin is already assured a huge success. Everybody's incredibly excited about it. Can't wait to show everybody. And then one last thing is that the rack architecture, the rack scale architecture is completely revolutionary. It includes a scale up switch called the NVLink. NVLink 72, our 5th generation, is the only one of its kind in the world. This rack architecture, which is incredibly complex, started with Grace Blackwell, then Grace Blackwell Ultra. It is transition to Grace Blackwell Ultra is incredibly seamless. The same rack scale architecture is going to be used for Vera Rubin. And so the supply chain is all used to it. This complexity that we enjoyed with Grace Blackwell transition, we're now incredibly smooth running. And so I think Vera Rubin's...
I tried to go through what the CFO Colette Kress said about China. In the quarter gone, it seemed like there was not meaningful H20 sales because the demand wasn't there, even if you were permitted to sell H20. And then in the current period and going forward, NVIDIA seems committed to working with both the United States and China to sell what Colette called more competitive compute. Where do we stand with that? And could you just clarify what Colette was talking about in the current state of play for China?
The most important thing she said is that we've said for some time now, our forecast for China is 0. All of our forecast, the guidance that we showed, 0. We should start, that's the most important thing that she said. She also said that effectively China is a very important market to us. It's very important to the United States. It's very important to China. We would love the opportunity to be able to re-engage the Chinese market with excellent products that we deliver and to be able to compete globally. The Chinese market is very large. This year, my guess is probably about $50 billion. It's great for the American people that we're able to compete in the Chinese market. It's great for the China market that we're able to provide NVIDIA's technology to them. It's great for the rest of the world as Chinese software companies and Chinese open source models leave China and are used all over the world. And so I think it's fantastic that it would be fantastic if we're able to participate in the China market. But for now, we should just assume our NVIDIA's forecast for China market is 0. We're going to continue to engage the US government, continue to engage the China government to advise them and to encourage them to allow us to go back and compete in the open market. And so until then, we should assume 0.
Jensen, during the call, how severe is the energy shortage in the context of AI expansion? And would you talk a bit about power and whether power is a bigger constraint for this build out than the chips themselves?
When you're growing at the rate and scale of NVIDIA, Remember, we're growing some 60% a year. Just quarter growth of our company is $10 billion. We grew an entire size of a company just in one quarter. And so the scale and the rate at which we're growing, everything's a challenge, which is the reason why NVIDIA has to be world-class at our supply chain, working with incredible providers and suppliers like TSMC and the memory partners and all of our systems partners, but also working downstream to work with energy providers, power generator companies, all of the land, power, and shell providers, so that we could make sure that as we launch into the marketplace, as we deploy into the marketplace, land, power, and shell will be ready for us. One of our
around the world, very simple, like how do you know that OpenAI is good for it, that it will be able to find the money?
Well, we're thoughtful, along with OpenAI, thoughtful in aligning on and taking into consideration visibility of demand and their financing capabilities. All of that has to be in accordance, has to be aligned, has to be coherent before we start to build out. And so I think the ambition's large, but the execution is disciplined. And that's really, really important to recognize. We're very disciplined with our investment. We're disciplined with our build out. These are very large scale investments. And so the two teams are quite disciplined, very disciplined in thinking through the investment levels. Now, it's also important to take a step back and realize that OpenAI, Anthropic, these are the fastest growing company in the history of humanity. Their offtake, their end market demand is absolutely real and absolutely incredible. And you could see that they're really struggling to keep up with the demand that they have. The engineering teams, we work incredibly hard to make sure that we bring them on more capacity, but also optimizing their stack so that the usage of whatever capacity is as efficient as possible. And meanwhile, there's so many new use cases that they want to put out into the world, and it's currently limited by the capacity they have. And so this is a really important time. You're seeing an exponential growth in the amount of compute demand necessary for AI. You're seeing an exponential growth of adoption and use of AI, and the number of applications that are going to be using these AI is also growing. And so we've got to do our best to support the scaling out of two of the most consequential companies in history, and we're delighted to be partnered with them.